There is a very drastic difference in someone that is initiating the swing out of their arms versus initiating the swing out of their feet. If you are not transmitting force effectively through your feet, it is going to open you up for a world of back pain. And that world of back pain is going to be aggravated if you add spinal twists and mobility. Hey everybody, it is Dr. Kirsten Wishloff. Welcome to the Doc Wishloff Podcast. On today's episode, we're talking golf injuries. 'Tis the season. We're getting ready. We're getting out there, hitting the links. Let's do it without getting hurt this year. I love golf. I haven't been playing as often because now I have a toddler, but we really hit it hard through COVID and some of the years before. I've worked with Toronto Golf Club and various golf coaches in the city and golfers. I love the sport. I love the biomechanics of it all. And I'm going to share with you guys some of the biggest, most impactful changes that you can make to your body and how you prep it for golf season to prevent injuries. We're going to keep it easy. We're going to keep it breezy, and you're going to get some big time results in your swing mechanics and how especially your lower back and elbows are feeling. If you are in the younger category of golfers, or maybe you're under 40, you might not have focused as much on like your movement because maybe you didn't have to, and maybe you're perceiving golf as like your off-season activity. If you're into your later years of golf, maybe it's your retirement plan, you might be thinking a lot about your body mechanics because you want to keep golfing because it's a big part of your life. So you can decide where it sits on your priority scale and kind of put as much time as makes sense into that. I'm going to talk about really quick and efficient things that you can do to keep you from getting injured that don't look like reinventing the wheel or spending hours and hours on mobility and strength training, although that can be helpful too. But I want to keep it really easy, just stuff that you can take away from this podcast, keep it super fast and then really applicable. The first mistake that I see people make when they are experiencing a problem in golf or they're trying to increase their range of motion is they focus on twisting their spine without learning how to anchor their feet. When we think about golf, same as I usually talk about for any performance-based strategy, oftentimes we look from the outside in and, everybody's swing maybe to you looks the same. But there is a very drastic difference in someone that is initiating the swing out of their arms versus initiating the swing out of their feet. If you are not transmitting force effectively through your feet, it is going to open you up for a world of back pain. And that world of back pain is going to be aggravated if you add spinal twists and mobility. This is a hot take because I know thoracic spine motion is all the rage. More thoracic spine, more. If you have a ton of thoracic spine stiffness, there is a very good chance you are not effectively producing rotational force and frontal plane motion through your feet. So what ends up happening is we jack your upper body up because it is driving so much of the strength. And then we kind of have this like dead zone in your lower back where your body is trying to find a way to create support and tension. Gravity means you need something to happen, right? There needs to be a connection with the ground in order for there to be a transference of force. If we're initiating your swing out of your torso and you're experiencing lower back stiffness, it's because you're doing a top-down approach to that movement and your feet are catching the force instead of creating it. So we've kind of twisted all of this motion into you and your spine is just grabbing at loose support systems to try to collect some stability. And then your feet are kind of just along for the ride, right? They're just like floating around. There's not an efficiency in how you are transferring force. This is going to have a really negative effect on the actual consistency of your swing and where the ball is going. But really what this is going to do is open up a world of hurt in your lower back. Your lower back is going to have way too much motion flowing through it. Your body is going to automatically start dosing stiffness into your spine to try to create this support system to create that force. And no matter how much spine stretching or thoracic spine mobility you're doing, you're not going to get relief from injury and you're actually not going to improve your golf swing by a heck of a lot. So the first thing that we're going to be thinking of is foot control, the ability to lift and lower your arch, the ability to transfer and control force from the ground up. That is what I want you to be thinking about this golf season before you go add a bunch of thoracic spine and lower back mobility. You may not need more motion in those areas. You may need a stiffer support anchor into the ground to control how force is flowing into your lower back. Because if we're going top down, your back is going to get stiff because she's doing too much. It's going to be hurting. So quick takeaway on that first one is make sure your feet are working. Cautiously add motion to your spine, understanding that we want to ensure we have a strategy to control that motion before we open up more of it. Next up on the docket is shoulder blade movement. And this kind of feeds into that lower back as well. Your shoulder blades should travel around your rib cage like a cylinder, right? So your rib cage is this 3D structure. Sometimes we get in the habit of thinking of our body as like a front side and a back side, but you're a cylinder, right? There's sides and there's fronts and backs and everything. As we are going through a swing, one shoulder blade should be moving forward along your rib cage and one should be rotating backwards along your rib cage. This feeds into that thought of maybe you don't need lumbar spine motion, maybe you need stability. Because if we are glued with our shoulder blades locked onto our rib cage and they are not rotating around your rib cage, we lose the efficiency of those shoulder blade muscles in their transferring of force, which means that force that should have been controlled up in your shoulder blades also comes into your lower back. You're starting to see a trend. This is why lower back injuries are so common, because they are the perfect compensation point for feet, for knees, for hips, for shoulders. They will take on any movement that you cannot control elsewhere in your body. So if you are getting stiffness in your back, and that first chat that I had about that foot pressure isn't really resonating, you're feeling good in your feet, the next thing we want to look at is the capacity for your shoulder blades to actually move around your rib cage. I love practicing like push-pull motions, an exercise that I give to a lot of my clients. It's called a gorilla row. You're kind of in like a sumo squat and one kettlebell or dumbbell or whatever you're using is pushing down and the other is pulling back. This push-pull motion is really what's going to give us effective motion at the shoulder girdle and controlled motion through the spine. So you're going to be feeling a lot more of this elasticity through your midline instead of kind of this locked position in the upper back, this huge amount of force flowing through your lower back and then kind of dissipating out in the hips. So the shoulder blades, we want to get them moving around the rib cage. We do not want them glued back. I'll touch on one more injury that's pretty common. And again, these are all really just like quick little takeaways that you can think about. The next one we're thinking about is elbow injuries. There's a whole injury named after it, right? Golfer's elbow. When we think about elbows, first thing I generally suggest is thinking about grip. So adjusting your grip, adjusting where you're pressing through your fingertips. I work with lots of different athletes. This is a really important one for Olympic lifters who have elbow pain, or power lifters, or whoever has elbow pain, is how are you generating force through your fingers? Because those finger muscles are coming up into your elbows. And if we're not kind of controlling that grip evenly, it can start to show up as elbow pain. Back to the very first talk too, and when we're talking about golf, we want to make sure that the impact of the ball is striking through torso strength, not arm. So if your arms are moving at a faster rate than your pelvis, the first point of impact is going to strike into your arms and your hands. So we really want to feel like the tempo and pace that we're transferring force is definitely a ground up approach. I know you guys want me to tell you like some forearm exercises and some things you can do. Sure, strength is going to be helpful, but what's even more helpful is actually hitting the ball in a sequence that's dissipating force in an effective place. Because if you don't start there and you're trying to, strengthen your index finger as your way to offset your full body's weight worth of force and speed, you're probably going to run into problems. So the first thing that I generally tell people to do is go get your golf swing analyzed. I can tell you what's getting hurt. I can't tell you if it's good for your performance. So I match up with golf coaches around the city to do that. And we kind of go on a back and forth as to what's creating the injury. But the first thing that I always tell people who are getting injuries as a result of repetitive sport movement is, let's just figure out if this is the strategy that we want to use to actually strike that golf ball. Because if it is, then you're like, okay, we got to get your elbows stronger. If it's not, then you're like, okay, well, we have to change your swing and this elbow thing is just going to go away. So let's save our time and resources and put it towards actually training your body for golf instead of trying to panic treat this elbow. It's so tempting, again, to go to the site of pain and start to really focus in on that. But when we're talking about movement and force distribution, we really want to look at the movement itself and then go into the detail work secondary. Because if there is something just in the way that you are creating the movement that's injuring you, it's easy enough to just change your movement, and those problems ultimately will just go away. So yes, there is a time and place for mobility. Make sure you are putting that mobility into the right spot. Don't do mobility in response to pain. That is a bad strategy. It is going to run you into a hole, because usually the spots that are hurting and getting tight are flowing a lot of movement. The spots that you're not feeling and are not doing enough are the spots that need mobility. So don't go chasing mobility around your body. Don't go expanding motion on the loosey-goosey. Be purposeful in where you're putting motion and ensure that you are actually creating force in the areas you're intending to create force, because a lot of the problems that you're going to be experiencing in your golf game are ultimately secondary to how your body is producing force. So I generally start from the force production front and then go into the detail work onto the injury itself if we have cleaned that up first. So I know y'all are going on the internet and looking for stretches for this and that and warm-up drills for golf. Make sure the way that you're swinging that club is leading to a happy, healthy body first. And then let's start putting mobility drills in that redirect force instead of amplifying force in areas that are already doing too much. Yeah? Alrighty, that is a wrap on the golf episode. Hopefully you guys are going to go experience your best season yet. If you want any help with that, go ahead, check out the show notes. I'll give you lots of resources there. Let's have a great season. Once again.